Hey guys, so in the last video, Roderick is gonna throw a party. Let's see how that ends up. I thought about calling mom and dad to tell them that what Roderick was up to, but I had never actually been to a high school party before. So I was curious. I decided to keep my mouth shut and soak it all in. Roderick told me to get some folding tables at the basement, bring a couple of bags of ice out of the downstairs freezer. Roderick's friends start showing up around 7 p.m. And before you knew it, there were cars parked up and down the street. The first person to walk through the door was Roderick's friend Ward. A bunch of more people started showing up after that. And Roderick told me we were going to need more tables, so I went downstairs to get them. But as soon as I stepped foot in the basement, I heard the door lock behind me. I pounded on the door, but Roderick just cranked up the music to drown me out. So I was stuck down there. Man, I should have known Roderick was gonna pull something like that. I guess it was pretty dumb of me to think Roderick was gonna let me inside of the action. It sounded like it was a pretty wild party. I think some girls even showed up at one point, but I couldn't be too sure because it was hard to keep track of what was going on from just looking at the bottom of the people's shoes. The party was still going strong at 2 a.m., but that's when I gave up and spent the night on one spare beds in the basement. Even though there were no blankets on it, I practically froze to death. But there was no way I was going to use a blanket from Roderick's bed. Somebody must have unlocked the basement door overnight because I woke up this morning and it was open, and I walked upstairs and it looked like a tornado has touched down in the family room. The last of Roderick's friends wasn't gone until 3 in the afternoon. And once everyone left, Roderick told me I had to help him clean up. I told Roderick he was out of his mind if he thought I was helping. But then Roderick said if we got busted for this party, he was taking me down with him. He said if I didn't help him clean up the mess, he would tell my friends about the thing that happened to me this summer. Couldn't believe Roderick would play dirty like that, but I could tell he was serious, so I got to work. Mom and Dad were supposed to be back by 7, and we still had a ton of work to do. It wasn't easy to erase all the evidence of the party, because Roderick's friend has left trash in all these crazy places. At one point when I went to make myself a bowl of cereal, a half-eaten piece of pizza fell out the box. 6:45. We had pretty things well wrapped when I went upstairs to take a shower, and that's when I saw the message writing on the door, inside of the bathroom door. I tried scrubbing the rain off with soap and water, but whoever wrote that must have used a permanent marker. Mom and Dad were going to be home any minute, so I thought we were going to be doomed, but then Roderick had a genius said. He said we could replace it with a switch. We could switch the doors and replace it with a closet door from the basement. So we got some screwdrivers and went to work. We finally managed to get the door off its hinges, and we carried it downstairs. Then we got to the closet door for Roderick's room in the basement and brought it upstairs. We made it with no time to spare. Mom and Dad car rolled into the driveway, and we were tightened to the last screw. You could tell that they were pretty relieved the house hadn't burned down while they were away. And I don't think we were totally out the woods just yet, because Dad was poking around tonight. I'm sure it won't be long before he figured out the party. Well, Roderick might have lucked out this time, because all I can say is he should be glad Manny wasn't there to see the party. Manny is a huge tattletale. In fact, he's been telling on me ever since he could talk. He even told me for stuff I did before he could talk. When I was a kid, I broke the ceiling glass door in the family room, and Mom didn't have any evidence that I was the one who did it, so they couldn't peg on me, and I wasn't clear. But Manny was there when it happened, and 2 years later, he squealed on me. So after Manny started talking, I had to worry about all the bad things he saw me do when he was a baby. I used to be a big tattletale myself until I learned my lesson. One time I told on Roderick for saying a bad word. Mom asked me which word he said, so I spelled it out, and it was a long one, too. But I ended up getting a bar of soap in my mouth for knowing how to spell a bad word. And Roderick got off scot-free. Monday. Tomorrow I have an English assignment due when I have to write in an algorithm. That's basically a story that says one thing but means something else. I was having trouble getting inspired, but then I saw Roderick outside working on his fan and I got an idea. Roy Screws Up by Greg Heffley. Once upon a time there was a monkey named Roy. The family he lived with was very much even though he was constantly screwing up things. One day Roy accidentally rang the doorbell and everyone thought it was on purpose, so they gave him a banana as a reward. Well, now Roy was going around thinking he was some sort of monkey genius or something. And the day he heard his owner say, "My dang car is broke," so Roy Prittman mind racing to formulate a plan. And here's what he eventually came up with. Roy fixed car. Roy worked all day and all night to make a long story short. The end result was not a fixed car Roy. And after all it was over, Roy had learned a very valuable lesson. Roy is a monkey and monkeys don't fix cars. After I finished my paper, I showed it to Roderick. I figured he wouldn't get it, and sure enough, I was right. Like I said before, Roderick, he got me under his thumb with this secret thing, so I had to get my licks in any way I can. Monday. Today was Manny's first day of preschool, and apparently it didn't go so great. All the other kids in Manny's school started back in September, but Manny wasn't potty trained until last week, so that's why he had to wait until now to make the jump from daycare. Manny's preschool was having their Halloween party today, so it was the greatest way to introduce him to his classmate. Manny's teacher had to call Mom at work and had to come get him. Here's pictures. I remember my first day of preschool. I didn't really know anyone, so I was pretty scared about being around a bunch of kids. But this was a boy named Quinn came right over and started talking to me. "Do you like ice cream?" "Yeah." "Then why don't you marry it?" I didn't get it. It was a joke, so I really freaked out. I told Mom I didn't want to go back to preschool, and I told her about Quinn and what he said. But Mom told me Quinn was just being silly, and I didn't need to listen to him. After Mom explained the joke, I actually thought it was pretty funny. Couldn't wait to go back to school the next day and try it out for myself. But it really didn't have the same effect. We're going to grow up and get married to some ice cream, huh? November, Monday. It's been over a week since Roderick's party, and I stopped worrying that Mom and Dad were gonna burst us for it. But remember that bathroom door we switched out? Well, I forgot until tonight. Roderick was upstairs in my room bugging me, and Dad went to the bathroom. A couple of seconds later, he said something that made Roderick stop cold. "Hey, didn't this door used to lock?" I thought it was over, but if Dad knew about the door, it was just a matter of time before he found out about the party. But Dad didn't put two and two together. You know, maybe it wouldn't be so bad if Mom and Dad found out about party. Roderick would get grounded, would be awesome. So if I can figure out a way to split the beans without Roger finding out, I'm going for it. Well, that's all for today. See ya.